Hey there, cigar fans, and in particular the fine cigar fans at Nelson Guasto's Cigars. I wanted to do this little video. I just pulled out the Don Pepin Garcia Cuban Classic, fantastic cigar. Definitely one of the primo cigars down at Nelson Guasto Cigar Store. And I've been aging this for about 5 or 6 months at this point, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to go ahead and talk about aging cigars. And just from hanging out with some of the customers coming in and out of the store, we have a lot of new customers lately, or some I should say new cigar smokers, people just getting into cigar smoking. So the idea of aging cigars is not necessarily one that most cigar smokers know about. It's usually kind of reserved for the geekier cigar smokers, the ones that are a little bit nerdy about their cigar smoking, but not afraid to be one of those guys. So I figured I'd do a little video about aging cigars. So first of all, just like a fine wine, a cigar can be aged and generally improves with time. But you know, that's not a blanket statement, and some cigars are going to have more opportunities for aging than other cigars. So what I want to discuss about is basically, how do you know what cigars have the potential for improving with aging, how long to age, what to expect, and what would be optimal conditions. So first, let's start with the main thing here is really which cigars are going to have the most potential for benefiting from aging. So what I want to do here is highlight a couple points, and what I would really say is if cigars that meet multiple points are going to be those cigars that have a better likelihood of improving with aging. So first of all, one type of cigar that can improve with aging are bigger ring gauge cigars. So basically, the thicker the cigar, that is one element where a cigar can improve with aging. The idea there is that there's so many different layers of leaves inside in the filler that allowing those leaves to settle and age over time and marry with all the different leaves inside the cigar. That is one opportunity for improving with aging. A higher strength cigar, so a cigar that has higher strength, because one of the things that you'll find with aging, and we'll talk about what you can expect here shortly, but is that the strength level will usually come down, which then allows for a more mellower experience. So if you have a cigar that maybe you really like that cigar, but you know that's just, boy, it's just usually a little bit too strong for you, a cigar with high strength is one that can benefit from aging, as that strength comes down, mellows out, and then it allows you to really enjoy the flavors and the body and the aromas more of that cigar. So that's an opportunity for improvement. And then another one would be a simple answer: cigars that from the manufacturer are made with not as well aged leaves. You know, there's some primo super expensive cigars out there that when they're put out to the market, they're already aged 10 plus years. So a cigar that has not been aged very long before it's been put out on the market is an opportunity for improving with age. So those are some of the kind of three factors that you can look at. But as you get into this, as you get into aging cigars and experimenting, you will also over time probably be able to smoke a cigar and know that this is a cigar that you think is going to have potential for improving with age over time, so that you'll go ahead and start putting some away. So we've talked about some of the elements of what might indicate is a cigar that can improve with age over time. Let's talk about what to expect. Already kind of alluded to it, but essentially a couple things are going on here. But a main factor when you age a cigar, generally speaking, especially if it is a higher strength cigar, a lot of times you'll lose, that strength will decline over time. So whether, you know, 6 months, a little bit decline, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. So the longer you age a cigar, the more strength you'll typically take away from that, which can be a great thing, especially for a cigar that is chock full of flavors and aromas and things like that. If you can back off some of that strength over time, you know, might for some people become a cigar that's even more enjoyable for you. And again, so with the aging, we're talking about bringing out more of the body and then being able to enjoy the aromas and the flavors by doing that. Also, another thing that can go on, especially when, well, I forgot to mention this when I was kind of highlighting, another factor that I say, and this isn't one that I read a lot, but I usually say whenever you have a cigar that has a lot of different fillers, especially from maybe a multiple nation blend. So rather than a cigar that maybe just has all the filler is the same, now imagine you're having a cigar, and the one that comes to mind are the, for example, the Avo Cinco South America Ritmo. That Avo Cinco South America Ritmo is made out of 7 leaves from 7 different nations. So I believe you got like 5 different filler leaves going on there. So allowing that type of a cigar with so many different leaves inside to age over time, you're giving time for all those different blends of leaves to basically unite, marry together, relax, kind of become one, and create a more distinct blend and flavor profile over time. So that is another factor of what you can expect when you age a cigar. So number 1, kind of removing the strength, and then 2, allowing everything inside to marry with one another. A lot of times become a more balanced flavor profile over time. So we talked about some of the characteristics of what to look for on what cigars have potential for aging, what you can expect. So real quick, let's kind of wrap up with best practices for doing this. So first of all, the environment, you just like age, you know, maintaining any cigar, but especially when aging, you maybe want to kind of keep the humidity not too high. Really, I would say, you know, a moderate humidity, but probably around the 67-68 humidity range. You don't want to keep it too low where it just becomes dry, but if you keep it too moist, 70 plus, you know, over 70, you don't have as much of the oils moving out through the cigar to do that, to do the aging. So that would be number 1. Number 2, personally, I like to keep my cigars. I have a nice wood, big, huge wood humidor, but for a lot of reasons, I use plastic containers as well that are vacuum sealed. For a lot of reasons, that'll be a video for another time. But when it comes to aging, you probably are better working in the wood cedar humidor environment. Now, time. So this is the fun thing. Basically, if you're working on cigars and letting them age, this is really an experiment for you. Now, minimum starting point, if you're gonna work with aging, let's say you get a box of cigars, and you're probably gonna wanna smoke a portion of those right up front. Can't blame you, because, you know, when you shell out some money for a box of cigars, you wanna smoke them and try them. But let's say maybe you're willing to experiment with half of those, so 10 of them you're gonna put away. Put them away, let them age, try one, and wait 6 months. Okay, if you're doing true aging, wait at least 6 months, okay? Try one. Then from that point, maybe every 3 months, try one at 9 months, try one at 1 year, 15 months, 18 months. And what you want to do at that point is you will eventually know when that particular cigar is reaching a peak. If each one keeps getting better, then keep aging them. And if that's what's going on, I would hurry up and get another box so you can start that process and then let those sit for the maximum amount of time that you end up discovering. At the end of the day, though, the maximum amount of time, 10 years. That's kind of like the peak of when, after 10 years, really nothing's going to continue changing. So a cigar from 10 years to a cigar that's been aged for 15 years, that years 10 through 15 really didn't change anything. So we can talk about a process that can go anywhere from 6 months up to 10 years. Really just comes down to your patience. You know, if you're in your 70s, you might not want to plan on putting cigars away for 10 years because who knows what's going to happen. You want to make sure that you can enjoy it. So you might be looking at a shorter range of time, just so you know that you can enjoy them all. Hope you appreciate the humor in that. But anyway, so those are some of the things about aging a cigar. But when it comes down to when you start doing it, at the end of the day, I usually look for a cigar, you know, decent ring gauge, has different leaves inside working together. A Maduro, one of the cigars, so a Maduro wrapper is not usually the cigar that I initially look for when I think about aging cigars. Some Maduros I do, but when a wrapper leaf becomes a Maduro, it goes through a process where it's kind of not that Maduro leaf wrapper. It is not really going to age and improve. It's what's inside because of the process that the leaf goes through to become a Maduro wrapper. It's kind of cured, and its aging potential is kind of frozen when it becomes a Maduro wrapper. And if that particular cigar with the Maduro wrapper, if so much of the flavor and the taste of it is the Maduro wrapper, that's probably not a cigar that's going to change a lot. So for example, and if you think of the thinner, the smaller the ring gauge, that wrapper is the predominant flavor you're getting it from, because, you know, wrapper to filler ratio, it's more wrapper. So if you think of like a Lonsdale, a long thin cigar that is a Maduro, that's probably going to be the last one I'm looking to age in that regard. I hope that makes sense. So looking for a cigar that's got you know, a thicker ring gauge, probably 52 plus, you know, at least starting at 52 ring gauge. Filler and binder wrappers, you know, maybe for a multiple nation blend. A cigar that isn't advertised as being already, you know, premium age, 10-year plus and things like that. And a cigar that I really like the flavor and the notes and things like that, but maybe when I smoke it, I think, boy, if this wasn't as strong, I would smoke way more of these. Those are the simple things that kind of throw out there that I'm looking for when I get some cigars and decide to age. And then only experimentation can answer, you know, how long to age it and how much the change is going to be. But you will notice change, absolutely. So anyways, this video is already way long enough. We're just going to cut it right here so I can actually enjoy the cigar. But I hope you learned a little bit about aging cigars.